Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics. So glad that you are here this morning. It's a kind of a busy day, kind of the same yet different what's happening in the news. Thank you so much for being here. Let us know where you're streaming from. You can see I am at a YouTube conference because our show is so amazing. They want us to be here to talk about our growth and how to help others actually in the space, in the independent media journalist working space. And so, we're honored to be here today. How are you doing? There's a lot going on in the world, including what some would call an invasion of an American city. And the city that I'm speaking of is the city of Los Angeles. Hello, Chicago. Hello, Frisco, Texas. Welcome to the program. We had some breaking news yesterday that I want to put up to make sure that you guys get it, because I've been telling you, Chicagoland, Dave B., I've been telling you that this is all a show. This is really for a strong man, for Donald Trump to look like a strong man and to put on a show, because that's what he does. Remember, he is a reality television star who everyone believed was really a great businessman. But as it turns out, he was just a character in a TV show that they crafted for him. And he pretended and people believed it. So maybe there's something in his acting that people believe. But the Trump administration is seeking military costumes for their parade. Did you guys know that? According to sources that we spoke to yesterday who had knowledge of this matter, Trump administration has sought to acquire approximately 2,000 historical military costumes for Saturday's parade in Washington, D.C., commemorating the Army's 250th birthday and Donald Trump's birthday and Flag Day and all of those things. Okay? Multiple individuals allege that the motion picture company, costuming company's MPCC, a Hollywood-based firm known for supplying wardrobe to major film productions, has agreed to fulfill most of the order. Now, we are told that members of the military and or actors, those are some of the things that they have been ordering that looks like this. And so they're going to put, allegedly, according to our sources, they're going to put either actors or members of the military in these uniforms to try to fill out the crowd and to show people, I guess, the evolution of fatigues and military uniforms over the years. Keep scrolling. We'll give you a little bit more of our information here. As first reported on this show on YouTube yesterday evening on Lemon Live at 5, the costumes are said to represent the evolution of U.S. military fatigues from the Revolutionary War through modern-day combat gear. In addition, the administration is allegedly seeking actors to wear the uniforms and participate in the parade, further blurring the lines between commemoration and political spectacle. Costumers, it shouldn't be costume designers, it should be costumers, I'm going to correct that, are said to be currently in Washington fitting some 1,500 parade marchers. MPCC declined to comment, but they did comment to the source. They said it was government business. They're not denying. They said they were doing the work. It's for the government, and they're okay with it. All right. And so that is what's happening. And while this is the backdrop of all this is what's happening in Los Angeles, which in any stretch of anyone's imagination is quite frankly overkill. And that is what the mayor of Los Angeles has been saying. That is what the governor has been saying. And if you look at these protests, you'll see some of it on this weekend, and even on Monday, there were some skirmishes. But now the folks are saying this is dying down. They don't understand why these troops are there. They believe that the governor of California has the authority. Only the governor of California has the authority to be able to send in the National Guard and to send in members of the military. Okay, but apparently not to the defense secretary. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, was questioned about it yesterday, about who has the legal authority. He was in hearings on Capitol Hill. Who has the legal authority to be able to send in these troops? And if the government of the United States, the federal government, the Defense Department, the president, if they were not only breaking the rules, but possibly breaking the law. Here it is.
We're proud to do it. We're proud to do it. 10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the president used cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard. Invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all three to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries.
Please pause. I don't know is not an acceptable answer from the person who's supposed to be leading the military. I don't know. It's all three. And if I were that congressperson, I would say specifically, then which three? All three. You tell me. He goes, I don't know. You're reading from it. That's a dead giveaway that he doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know. He's very defensive. You're right, Candace. He is very defensive. We talked about it this morning in our editorial meeting. He's so defensive. It's almost like he's fighting with someone on the street. It's like road rage. You pulled out in front of me. Anyways, continue, please.
And assaulting police officers and law enforcement officers, that's the problem.
The laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
The president, you said
the
all
governor of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr.
So here's the thing. What he does not understand, what Pam Bondi does not understand, what Donald Trump, and perhaps they do understand it, because again, this is, I'm telling you, this is a show. It is choreographed. They sent those folks in. California is a perfect place to kick off. This is a teaser so that he gets higher ratings and higher and bigger public support for what he is about to do on Saturday, that perhaps there's some concern with the administration, but who knows, because they really have no morals, that what Donald Trump is doing is a spectacle and it could backfire. So what do? It is wag the dog. You create a problem, a solution to something that there is no problem. You go into Los Angeles, California, and you stir up and you instigate the people who are there, who are protesting mostly, I'm not saying all of it was, but mainly peacefully. And so you do this before and you create a solution to a problem that does not exist. So it looks like you solved something and that you're a strong person, that you are a strong administration, that you're actually helping the people of Los Angeles. And I've been talking to you guys about having a sense of proportionality about all of this, okay? Having a sense of proportionality about how many people are really affected by this in Los Angeles. How big is this, the actual protests in Los Angeles? Because when you take the camera and you just sort of zoom in on things, you can zoom in on a small crowd and it can look enormous. And then if you play it over and over and over. Now, that's not to say that what's happening, what the state has done, meaning the government, not the state of California, the federal government, what they have done, it doesn't mean that they haven't done anything wrong, that they haven't incited a lot of this violence. But it just means that we should have a sense of proportionality about it. Pete Hegseth was also questioned about who exactly, again, has the authority, and he does not answer the question, because if you look at the law, if you look at the Constitution, it is not the president of the United States who has the authority to do this, at least without checking with members of the local and state government. Watch this.
The governor of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary.
Again, there you go. Not answering the questions. He answers a question that is very vague. You and I both know that the president of the United States has the authority. What do you mean by that? And where does it show that? Can you show me in the Constitution where it says that? Can you show me legally where it says that? Now, I do believe that the president does have authority in some cases, but there were three things that he mentioned where the president has the authority to be able to do it, of national concern. It has to be of national concern and import. It is not that serious. This is nothing that the Los Angeles police cannot handle. There are protests in cities all over this country, almost on a daily basis. And the local authorities handle it. But considering what this government is doing by going in and rounding up people and saying, we're just going to go in and round up people without due process, it brings further light and attention to this. And LA is one of the country's biggest cities. And so that is why he's doing it. Jen Psaki can explain to you exactly as well what the congressman was saying about which 3 things that have to be triggered. You have to mark off, check off 3 different things specifically for the president, our national government, to be able to send these troops in. Here it is.
And NBC News reports tonight that tactical units from ICE, like the ones we have seen this week in LA, have been told to be ready to deploy to 5 other cities run by Democratic leaders. 2 sources familiar with the matter tell NBC News that special response teams, as they're called, teams that use heavy Bearcat-tracked vehicles, long guns, tactical vests, have been ordered to deploy in the following cities: Seattle, Chicago, Philadelphia, the D.C. area, and New York City. And what we are thinking of right now as an LA issue, and what we're talking about as an LA issue or a California issue, is very much quickly becoming a national issue. And remember the order Trump used to send the National Guard into Los Angeles? Doesn't mention California even once. It's a nationwide order. So Trump pretending these largely peaceful protests warrant troops in the streets of LA matters. I mean, because these protests in no way warrant sending in the National Guard. But legally, importantly, to federalize the National Guard, for the president, any president, to order the National Guard into a state without that state's governor's approval, there needs to be either an invasion, a rebellion, or a belief that the president is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
Did you hear that? Now, what they're going to say, I just want to make sure that I write this in laws of the U.S. Okay, so what they're going to say, the only one that they're going to use is say, well, it's a rebellion. It's not a rebellion. So he can't do that. But they're going to say it's a rebellion. Unable to execute the laws of the United States. He's going to say, well, we can't execute the laws of the United States because we have these people who are invading. They're going to say, we have an invasion of illegals. I told you guys this. We have an invasion of illegals. They're trying to criminalize immigrants and migrants. So they're going to say these people are invading our country. Therefore, we had to take action. We had to federalize the National Guard and U.S. troops, which is essentially turning troops on your own citizens, is what they're doing. And by the way, MAGA is eating it up like red meat. Axios is reporting that MAGA is feasting on this LA red meat. They're calling it a red meat. MAGA feasts on red meat as Trump escalates LA showdown. Now, let me show you why, because according to the MAGA folks, I told you the MAGA folks will eat this up unless it is a Democrat who is doing it. They are framing the Los Angeles protests as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to rewrite the rules of engagement with the resistance, starting with the U.S. military force. Is that the kind of country you want to live in, whether it is a Democrat in the office or a Republican in the office? Is this the kind of country you want to live in where they can federalize the U.S. troops, the U.S. military, and use military force against its own citizens? Now, I will tell you, if you look at the U.S. Constitution, and if you look at the First Amendment to the Constitution, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, which one of the main reasons for the Second Amendment is if there is what? Government takeover of the country, and citizens have to fight back. Now, for all these people who are Second Amendment folks, if this isn't a government takeover of the country, if the government is not following the rules of the Constitution, wouldn't that might trigger the Second Amendment? I'm just saying folks should look at that, especially if you're a Second Amendment person. If you're a person who carries around the Constitution in your coat pocket, if you're always screaming about don't take our guns, any of those things, this has the potential of violence, and is the point that I'm more violence, and more violence that is started and instigated by the Trump administration. Now, let's just say someone takes the Constitution literally and they feel that way. What could happen? That's why we have rules, so that it doesn't have to ratchet up to these levels. Why does it matter? As National Guardsmen and Marines descend on LA, the loudest voices in the MAGA media ecosystem are urging Trump to make an example out of anyone who stands in the way of mass deportations. And Donald Trump says he will make an example, so to speak, out of anyone who stands in the way of his parade, who protests his parade. And he will do it with what? Heavy force. With protests spreading to other cities, the list of demands is growing. Deploy the military, arrest Democrats, expel not just undocumented immigrants, but even legal residents who oppose the crackdown. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I don't know what MAGA guys, I don't know what you're thinking. This is some real authoritarian shit. Not to mention the costs. We'll get to that. But this is some real authoritarian shit. And we'll get to the cost, and I'm going to tell you why it's authoritarian. But for Trump, who said Monday that California Governor Gavin Newsom should be arrested, the vocal support of the GOP base will only fuel his maximalist instincts. It is driving the news. MAGA activists were calling as early as Friday for Trump to deploy active duty military personnel to LA, where federal immigration officers were encountering resistance to their deportation raids. They are pissed because they were stopping the deportation raids and preventing them from taking them because there was a lack of due process. So they are pissed. They were not reaching the numbers that they wanted for deportations. And so they were told, according to a report, I believe it was a Wall Street Journal or the Post, it said they were called to the White House and they said, or government officials told them, just go and start arresting illegal aliens. Just go do it. So now you have the Marines that are out there. They don't know the rules. They're not Border Patrol agents. You have the National Guard that's out there. They're not Border Patrol agents, nor are they ICE agents. And the folks who are ICE agents and the folks who are there are concerned because they think that these folks don't have enough training to be able to do what they want them to do. Many are clamoring now for Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act to authorize the troops to participate in law enforcement activities and immigration raids, a step he hasn't yet taken. But that's what I just mentioned. They are concerned about that because if they do that, these folks are not trained in those areas. The only way to win here is to double and triple down. The media and left-wing apparatus and deep state that run this country want us to blink, want us to back down. That's what Steve Bannon said on his podcast. And so while people who are right-thinking people who have a sense of conscience, people who believe in the Constitution, people who are not idealists are saying, oh my gosh, this is terrible. There is no way that these folks should be doing this. This is awful. It looks bad. They're going to suffer the consequences. MAGA and the Republicans are saying, no, they're not going to suffer the consequences. They think this is good for Donald Trump. This is good for the Republicans. They think it's good for the midterms. It makes them look strong. It makes them look like they are fighting injustices and invasion of the brown people in the country. And that will play well in conservative circles. They're not concerned about what this will do for the midterms. They think it will help them. Now, as I said, this is some authoritarian, some dictator bullshit. And I'm going to take you right to you're going to hear from the horse's mouth in just a moment about why I'm saying that. I'll play it to you and you will be flabbergasted by what you hear. You may have heard a little bit of it, but we're going to play it so that you can see it. Meantime, let's hear from our sponsors, okay? And then we'll get back to the program. Here is a word from our sponsors. Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Beam. You need a restful night's sleep. You need to be ready to get out and fight. You know what the right is trying to do. They're trying to overwhelm you. They're trying to confuse you. They're trying to get you to back away from the fight and just give up and say, you know what, I give up. It's over. There's too much. I'm not getting out there. They don't want you to do it. They're trying to scare you. They want you to get burned out. They want you to tune out to what's happening, and they want you to roll over. But you can counteract that because you have to wake up every day. You have to be ready and refreshed and energized. And that is why I turn to Beam's Dream Powder. It's a natural sleep blend designed to help you get the sleep, the restorative rest your body and mind need to stay in the fight. It's got science-backed ingredients, okay? Reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Dream helps you to fall asleep and stay asleep and wake up ready to organize, resist, and raise hell without the fog and without the crash. Since I started using Dream, my focus has come back. My energy has returned. I'm ready to face the day, ready to stand up for the things that matter. I'm not the only one. Beam's Dream Powder has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep all across this country. Right now, Beam is offering up to 40% off their best-selling Dream Powder for my listeners, and is at a limited time offer and the perfect way to overcome that exhaustion and stay in the fight every day. So go to shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code lemon at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code lemon for up to 40% off. Sleep well, wake up ready. The fight continues. Freedom from Religion Foundation, also a sponsor of today's show. A lot of this stuff that we talk about in the news is driven by religious nationalism. It's driven by the religious right, who believe that they should be able to operate the country without the laws, beyond the Constitution. There's no separation between church and state. And we know that is bull. That is not what our founding fathers intended, and that's not what America was built on. America was not founded as a Christian country. America was founded as a country, as a Christian nation. It was founded as a country that believes in freedom of speech. It's why we started our country, so that we could have the freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to be able to express ourselves. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. They have been defending church and state separation since 1978 in the courts, in the schools, and wherever religion tries to take the wheel. So go to FFRF/freedom, Go to FFRF/freedom and text my name, Don, to 511-511 and become a member today. Join us and go to FFRF.us/freedom and text Don to 511-511, because the only story that should run this country is ours, not theirs. Text fees may apply. Thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate it. So first, let's get to the cost. Pete Hegseth, and then we're going to get to the authoritarian, the dictatorship part of it. Pete Hegseth, by the way, this is costing you a lot of money, taxpayers, hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you okay with that? You remember MAGA is supposed to be, or the conservatives, the party of fiscal responsibility, fiscal conservatism, and yet this is costing hundreds of millions of dollars. Here's Pete Hegseth being questioned about the costs.
That. There are moments where you make do as best you can temporarily, but we are ensuring they're housed, fed, water capabilities in real time from my office, because I care that much about the California Guard and the Marines and the men and women who are supporting our ICE agents on the ground. It's true every day, and that's a disingenuous attack that misrepresents how much we care about our troops and what they're doing to defend ICE agents. I'm not going to take the fact that we don't care about the troops. Nobody cares more about the troops at the top than this secretary and the chairman and our department.
How long will the deployment last?
We stated very publicly that it's 60 days. Because we want to ensure that those rioters, looters, and thugs on the other side assaulting our police officers know that we're not going anywhere. We're here to maintain the peace on behalf of law enforcement officers in Los Angeles, which Gavin Newsom won't do.
What is the estimated cost of the deployment for the Guard and the Marines to LA?
So what people call, I hate to say this, but he's so bitchy. He's so defensive. Excuse me. No. We care about our troops every single day. What is that? Just answer the questions. Why do you have to be so? How much is this costing? It would be more effective if it says, how much is this costing? This is going to cost $130 million. You can say, this is going to cost $130 million. We would like not to have to incur those costs, but things on the ground were getting out of hand. And so we thought we had to send someone in. He doesn't have to be so defensive all the time. It's really nagging and irritating. Keep going, please.
Where's this funding coming from? Will it be coming from quality of life programs, that affect our service members or our families? If you want to wait till I finish.
Before I hand it to
such as updates, housing and barracks.
Before I hand it to Bryn, the insinuation that we're pulling money from housing and barracks in order to fund this is disingenuous and incorrect.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. See what I mean? And I'm sure Donald Trump loves it. You gave him hell, give him hell. And he has to overdo it, right? Considering what happened with Signal. So he has to overdo it so that he can, because he's not qualified. So he has to put on an act, a bravado that is not necessary. The calmer you are, the more effective you are, the more effective he would be. With all due respect, Congressman, it is not costing, and let me show you, my colleague here is going to show you where they're coming from so that you can understand and we can all be on the same page. We're all working for the same thing. We're all working for the American people, and we want them to be safe, and we want to save them money. That's it. No, that's wrong. That's his attitude. And he has not presented a budget about what's the plan with all of this stuff to the Congress, who is what? To Congress, I should say, who is in charge of the purse. They control the purse strings. They are the money. Here he is arguing with Representative DeLauro, excuse me.
In shipbuilding, and the challenge is our department under the previous administration squandered a lot of that. By
Please, I want your plan. I've had difficulties with the prior administration, and I don't mind calling them out. What is your plan for the future? Can we get that in writing and on paper so that we know where you're going? Because we don't have anything today. We have zip, nada, and knowing where you're going. You can talk percentages, you can talk about whatever you want, but unless this committee sees dollars and cents and where you're going and what your plan is, then we may reconsider what you need to do to go forward. Give us the details.
Congresswoman, we have the details and we will provide
Then
them
let's
for you.
have them before and my hope is that we could get to it before we go to a markup within a few hours here today. I yield back my time, Mr. Chair.
Gentlelady yields back.
Okay, now, the way he answered that I have to give it to him. That is the way you answer it. We will give you this before we leave here, Chairwoman or Congresswoman. That's how he should be answering. And I liked her attitude. Tell me what you're doing. I don't want to just argue with you. We have nothing. We're sitting here questioning you, and you haven't given us anything. He can't answer the questions. He said, we'll have it for you. But the thing is, that is a good way of answering it. But a better answer would have been, here it is. Hand out the thing. Here. We're going to hand out folders for everyone, and we're going to show you the budget, and we're going to show you the plan. Here's our plan. Or a PowerPoint. Here's our plan. Not doing any of that. Not even Mike Johnson, Mike Johnson cannot answer a question to save his life. Now, you tell me, you want to play this. You tell me if you hear anything in this that resembles an answer to the question they are asking. Here it is.
I'm glad the president has a strong hand in this.
Mr. Speaker, you guys are condemning the violent protesters in LA. Is it hypocritical given the president pardoned the violent protesters on January 6th?
Look, no, I think there's a clear distinction between those two. We've seen what's happened in LA in the early 90s and in other times when these things get out of control and they burn whole city blocks down and shut the place down. You have to stay on top of that. You cannot let it get out of control. And I think federalizing the National Guard was important. I think if Marines are necessary to maintain order, we have to do what is.
But what's the difference? You said there's a distinct. What's the difference between the violent protesters on January 6th?
Everybody wants me to relitigate January 6th. I'm not going to do that. There's a very clear distinction between the two. The people who broke the law and destroyed property met with the proper consequences on that. That's what we're trying to be intellectually consistent about this.
What sort of authorities do you think the Marines should have there on the ground? What sort of authorities?
Maintain peace and protect property. They're protecting.
All right, I want you to go back up to the beginning of this, Andy. I want you to listen to the original question. What is the difference between this and January 6th? And then he does not answer. And then he is asked again. And his answer is, everybody wants me to relitigate that. No one would be asking you to relitigate January 6th if you had not sent in National Guards for something that for people who you believed were rioting and were not, but you didn't do it on January 6th for people who were actually doing it. Starts from the beginning. Now listen, Tell me if he answers a question. You tell me. Maybe you think he does. Here it is.
I'm glad the president has a strong hand in this.
Mr. Speaker, you guys are condemning the violent protesters in LA. Is it hypocritical given the president pardoned the violent protesters on January 6th?
Look, no, I think there's a clear distinction between those two. We've seen what's happened in LA in the early 90s and in other times when these things get out of control and they burn whole city blocks down and shut the
What is the distinction? He has not answered that. What he says, there's a clear distinction. What is it? Listen.
place down. You have to stay on top of that. You cannot let it get out of control. And I think federalizing the National Guard was important. I think if Marines are necessary to maintain order, we have to do what is.
But what's the difference? You said there's a distinct. What's the difference between the violent protesters on January 6th?
Everybody wants me to relitigate January 6th. I'm not going to do that. There's a very clear distinction between the two. The people who broke the law and destroyed property met with the proper consequences on that. That's what we're trying to be intellectually consistent about this.
What sort of authorities do you think the Marines should have there?
Still didn't answer the question. The people who broke the law were met with the proper what? Repercussions. Okay. They were pardoned, and you saw what happened. In front of everyone's eyes. There's footage, there's videotape, there are eyewitnesses, there are victims who have come on, and Michael Fanone, other officers have been telling you, and you saw them being beaten. And the question for Manu Raju was, how is this different? And it's considering that you pardon those people. Mike Johnson is full of shit. And he knows he can't answer it, so he keeps deflecting. And no one holds him to account. Why is no one holding him to account? Why is no one holding Donald Trump to account? That's what I want to know. Now, here's the president of the United States. Now, guys, I told you he is going to stand there on Saturday like he is a dictator or a king or a monarch. He's going to stand there like this. This is the lead up to the main show that he wants. He likes this gives small d energy. This is small d energy. If you need this much attention for yourself. Now, I want you to listen. What is it? He's putting on the hat, right? For the troops. If he could be in uniform, he would. He might be in uniform. Who knows? And he's going to stand there like he is like he's Churchill or something. Or better yet, Kim Jong-un. Or some other dictator. Now listen to what he says. He cannot help himself. It's such small d energy. It's unbelievable. He can't help himself. He has to talk about Biden. He has to talk about everything except for And then he has to demonize the media and draw in our troops who are there to be nonpartisan and to protect us, to serve the country. Listen to this. It's outrageous.
War. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1 trillion. We've never even come close.
Barack Obama is right. He's obsessed with numbers and crowd sizes and being the biggest. Small d energy. True. Keep going. It is, and look, we have been celebrating our veterans, our troops, America since its inception. That is what the 4th of July is about. That is all about America and the flags. This is what we do in every single city, state, town, and municipality in this country. Multiple 4th of July parades for our independence, where we celebrate our nation, we celebrate our troops. That's what Memorial Day is about. Remembering the people who have made the sacrifice for us, some of them the ultimate sacrifice. Labor Day, all of those things. And this is Flag Day. When I was in school, we did, remember the maypole, and we'd have the flag. This parade is not to celebrate America. This parade is to celebrate MAGAism and Donald Trump. This parade is nationalist. This is a nationalist parade. This is to celebrate nationalism. And America should be celebrating independence and costing American taxpayers way more money than need be when we are already in an economic crisis of his own building, his own doing. But let's listen to the small D speech.
But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you...
Listen to this speech. This speech has Stephen Miller written all over it. This is such a nationalist speech. And it's such a not inclusive speech. It's aggressive language. Who would write something like that? Through the very gates of hell. This is like the American carnage speech, where people were standing there. George Bush, the former president, like everyone looking at him like, what the fuck is this? American carnage. And everyone's like, oh my God, what is going on here? Are we a dictatorship, or is this America where we celebrate individualism and we don't pat ourselves on the back unnecessarily? This speech is a humdinger. Listen.
Who dare to threaten the American people, American soldier, will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's what happens.
Glorifying violence and war from someone who says we want to get rid of the wars. We want to pull our troops out of the wars. But I mean, why is it even necessary? It's not like we have pulled out of Afghanistan or Iraq, or we're in the middle of some invasion or some military act or maneuver in some place. It's not. It's just there's no reason for this. Keep going.
Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the chilling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it, if I keep you out of it, that's okay, but if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called peace through strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force anywhere on earth.
There we go. You guys get it. What is he talking about? We didn't even get to the point where he starts to talk about Joe Biden and how Joe Biden did nothing for the country. We didn't even get to any of that. None of it. Before we continue, I want to get a break from our sponsors. Hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll get back to this madness. Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Shopify. The origins of this show were once just a dream. The dream turned into a business for me, and you are watching and listening to this dream fulfilled. So starting your own business is a dream lots of us share. Too many of us let it remain just a dream. So don't hold yourself back thinking, what if I can't do this? What if I don't have the skills? What if I can't do it alone? Turn those what ifs into why nots with Shopify by your side. So Shopify has 24/7 customer service, 24/7 help. That can help you with all of this stuff that you need to start a business, from a strategy for your email, a strategy for social media, how to brand yourself, how to get more eyes on your products in order to be able to sell whatever it is that you need to sell. Get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. So turn your dreams into, give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/lemon. That is shopify.com/lemon. Shopify.com/lemon. You can turn your dreams into, and that is the platform that our merch store is on. Our merch store is on the Shopify platform, and I told you we were going to do it. So check it out. Nothing to lose because you get a huge discount, $1 per month. Also, support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Lean, Lean. The shirt that I'm wearing right now, I could not fit into it. I don't know what happened to my button here. I could not fit into it for months after the holidays. You know what I'm talking about. Christmas, whatever. You lose a little, you gain weight, you lose it, and then you gain more of it back. That is dangerous. That increases your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, other health problems. So you need to break free of that yo-yo dieting, okay? And that's the main reason that doctors created Lean. Lean is a supplement. It's not an injection, and you don't need a prescription. The science behind Lean is impressive. It is studied, natural ingredients, and it targets weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Helps maintain healthy blood sugar, helps control appetite cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. So listen, if you're tired of all that gaining and losing, here's what you have to do and be healthy. Lean was created to help you. Let me get you started with 20% off when you enter lemon20 at takeLean.com. That's code lemon20 at takelean.com. Thank you today to all of our sponsors. We appreciate it. Okay, so back to the program. I just want to tell you, look, that speech went on and on and on, and it is really embarrassing. It's embarrassing what he did there. I just want to show you one thing, and then I'm going to let you guys go. One thing, Fox and Friends. Fox News is carrying the water for this president, and it's unbelievable. And here's what's happening over at the Fox News. They can't even fathom in their mind that Donald Trump does anything that's questionable or untoward. Watch.
President Trump will host a parade this weekend to mark the 250th anniversary of the Army. And those are your headlines, guys. Back over to you.
Also, it was not President Trump's idea with the parade for his birthday.
No.
It was put up last time by General George.
I'm so glad you brought that up today.
Yeah.
And the Army was the one that suggested having this parade. They're trying to say, because his birthday's on Saturday and the parade's on Saturday, he's doing this for his birthday.
It's going to be patriotic and wonderful. Who doesn't like a military parade? Come on.
It's also Flag Day.
Yes.
Yep. Great for the
It's
country.
17 minutes after. It's now 18 minutes after the top of the hour.
Hey, we love Donald Trump. We love him. This was somebody else's idea. I mean, it's not his birthday. He never thought about this. It's Flag Day. It's whatever. And then all of a sudden, 17 minutes after the hour, they go back into morning show mode as if it's some normal shit. After they have glazed Donald Trump the entire time, I can't anymore. And right, someone says, look at you know who. My mom called me about him, and she said, why does the black guy in there dress like Donald Trump? Does he want to be Donald Trump? What is he trying to fit in with those people? Trying his hardest to cozy up to the MAGA folks. You said, I'm not saying some of those things you're saying, but I mean, someone said bootlicking. I mean, that's y'all. Hi says that in the comments. I'm just saying, it is amazing. Amazing. Okay, guys, listen, I want to show you, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. The membership link is at the top of the chat. It should be, or the link to our merch store is at the top of the chat. Also, the subscription button right there. see the comments scrolling right below those comments. But look, we dropped new merch earlier in the week. Here's our merch store. You go to the main page on our YouTube account, go over to shop, and you can find it. And then we're working on getting it up on donlemon.com. I don't know what's going on with our web folks, but we're working on that. But anyways, got new stuff. Go check it out. And I'm going to see you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern time for Lemon Live at 5. I'm at the YouTube conference, and I'm going to go do my thing and talk to them. Krishna, right, about how we're growing. Tell them why we're here. They want to know. Folks want to know. They're like, what is going on with this Don Lemon Show channel? And the people talk to me about the Lemon Nation and the Lemon Heads. So folks are coming up saying, we were watching your show and the Lemon Heads are going crazy in the comments before you even go on. And so they said, Don, you need to hire a hype man to get in there and hype up the folks like they do before a concert or a talk show. Okay? So I'll see you back here at 5 o'clock. And as I say, don't sit in front of the TV all day and watch the outrage porn. You can be informed without being inundated. We'll see you back here live at 5 o'clock today. In the meantime, turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you.